Hello, everyone, and welcome to Land Talks, a podcast brought to you by the G20 Global Land Initiative, where we explore innovative ideas and impactful projects driving land restoration and sustainable development worldwide. Today, we are honored to have Dr. Osama, the Deputy Minister of Environment, Water and Agriculture in Saudi Arabia. It's such a true pleasure to have you with us today in our podcast.
Thank you. The pleasure is mine.
Thank you. So, Dr. Saudi Arabia has taken a leading role in environmental initiatives, particularly through the G20 Global Land Initiative. Would you please elaborate on the significance of Saudi Arabia's contribution to the global land restoration efforts and how these align with the UNCCD goals?
Well, Saudi Arabia, with the launch of Vision 2030 back in 2016, there was a commitment and a deep understanding that we cannot have sustainable development without conserving environment, because it's the third pillar of sustainable development, together with economic growth, social well-being, and environmental sustainability. And as a result, we started by really making very significant efforts nationally at the domestic level within Saudi Arabia by launching the National Environmental Strategy in 2018, restructuring the environmental sector, which resulted in creating a National Environmental Fund, the largest in the region, 5 National Environmental Centers. Each one of them is focused on a national environmental priority, like the National Center for Waste Management, the National Center to Combat Desertification, the National Center for Wildlife, the National Center for Environmental Compliance, and the National Center for Meteorology, which focus on meteorology and climate issues. And then we launched the Saudi Green Initiative to restore 40 million hectares of degraded land in Saudi Arabia, using innovation mixed with traditional knowledge and focusing on sustainability by using native flora species and renewable water resources such as rainwater or seawater, like in mangrove, or treated wastewater. So there is a very focus on sustainability. And of course, also regionally, we are active by launching the Middle East Green Initiative, which target restoring 200 million hectares in the Middle East region, which is highly impacted by drought and land desertification. And from Central Asia all the way to West Africa, currently we have 30 regional members from Asia, like Uzbekistan, Pakistan, and Arabic countries, and African countries. So many of the Sahel countries of Africa now are members, and more are coming. So this is important. And on the global scene, again, we worked with our G20 partners to launch the Global Land Initiative, that we are very proud it was launched under the Saudi presidency, and Saudi is a major supporter, really working to promote land conservation, restoration, and fighting drought and land degradation, because of our high dependence on land. Land is very important for water security. All fresh water exists on land. 90% of the fresh water is in the soil. Not the rivers, not the lakes, is the soil. So although the rivers and lakes and groundwater all exist in land, but also the soil is very important, the moisture content of soil, what we call it green water. And it's very important for our food security. Land is 95% of our food comes from land. Our forest depends on land. Terrestrial biodiversity depends on land. Carbon, large amount of carbon stored in land. Billions of people depends on land. 44% of the global GDP depends on the natural capital, where land is constitute the major portion of it. So putting that all together.
So thank you so much for this. What are some of the key milestones achieved, and how do they set the stage for future international cooperation in combating desertification and land degradation?
I think number one is we really aim to raise global awareness about the importance of land and the severe impacts of land degradation and desertification and drought. And we have exerted significant effort. We participated in 58 international events all over the world, like from Davos to the United Nations High-Level Week on Sustainability, United Nations General Assembly, United Nations Environmental Assembly, where we succeeded to get a very important resolution on land degradation and drought and other aspects. The World Environment Day was about land this year, where about 3,900 events globally were organized. And also, we really work to have significant participation. Already, we have launched Riyadh Global Drought Resilience Partnership, which aims to strengthen drought resilience in the 80 most vulnerable countries. And this is global. The Early Warning System Initiative, now Business for Land also. And we have also many other parties and non-state actors who are also launching initiatives. So really, this focus to strengthen the action agenda and the negotiation track.
Thank you so much, Dr. Faqeeha. Let's move to another topic, which is the Saudi Green Initiative and G20 Global Land Initiative. How does the Saudi Green Initiative complement the work of the G20 Global Land Initiative and UNCCD? What are the synergies between these programs in driving sustainable land management globally?
I think, as you mentioned, it's really our common objective is to really land conservation, land stewardship, and preventing land from further degradation and amplify land restoration efforts. Really, in the Saudi Green Initiative, I talked about restoration.
Yes.
And restoration is highly aligned with the Global Land Initiative of really amplifying global work on land restoration. As a matter of fact, we are significantly exceeding our land degradation neutrality target, by the way.
That's great.
Yes. The 40 million hectare is much more than the LDN. So we are not stopping at the LDN. We will meet the LDN, but that we look at the LDN as the minimum. We should go beyond LDN. But also, we are acting to prevent further degradation. So, for example, in the agriculture sector, we have the Saudi GAP, the Saudi Good Agriculture Practices, where we work with farmers to really integrate good agriculture practices that prevent land degradation and promote sustainable land management. We also have the National Center for Environmental Compliance. We have the environmental law, where there are now very stringent regulations to prevent environmental degradation in general, whether it's land, whether it's marine and others, or air pollution. So that's really now integrated, and that's very important to ensure preventing degradation. Also, we are working on the conservation of resources as well.
Yes.
So we have the National Waste Management Law. We have created the National Center for Waste Management, because waste degrade land, but also a lot of this waste comes from original land resources that is taken. So if we recycle waste, we reduce the pressure on land by taking the same raw material and use it again and again and again. And that's will really fulfill our needs, but also reduce the pressure on land, both from the improper disposal or from the extraction of natural resources. So we have a target to have 95% diversion from landfills, which meaning only 5% of the waste will go to landfill, and 95% will be reused in a useful way. We have food security. Again, land plays a very important role in food. We mentioned 95% of the food come from land, and 99% of the calories come from the land. But globally, a third of our food is lost or wasted. I mean, lost before it hits the table, wasted after it reached the table. In total, it's about a third, and this means a lot of land resources goes, a lot of water, a lot of energy, emissions, because with all these environmental impacts. So now we have a target to cut our national food loss and waste by 50% by 2030. And that will translate hugely in land conservation resources, water conservation, energy. About 30% of global greenhouse gas emission that is contributing to climate change It's coming from food production, from farming all the way to the table. So again, that will also help the climate resilience as well.
Great. Okay, so Dr. Faqeeha, let's talk a little bit about the vision for the future. Looking ahead, what is Saudi Arabia's vision for the future of global land restoration? And how do you see the G20 Global Land Initiative fostering long-term collaboration among member states to achieve these goals?
I think Saudi Arabia vision is very clear in its own action that to address land degradation, we need to be active nationally. We did this in the Saudi Initiative. You have to be active regionally and globally. I think my own personal vision is that really on one side, business as usual now is unsustainable. We are degrading 100 million hectares every year. And if we continue this way, the future will be very bleak. However, I think on the other hand, the community are much more engaged. We have the social media, we have now a lot of tools to reach out to all aspects, the youngsters, the youth. So we have now technology is giving us maybe capabilities is not available. So I think number one, we have to raise global awareness about the importance of land and the significant impacts of land degradation. So I think the ability to propagate awareness faster through technology is also a sign of hope. The other one is innovation. Now we are in the age of nanotechnology, artificial intelligence, and innovation can also be a major driver to amplify action. And with this, I think by having, synergies between various actors and integrating innovation, I think there is hope. But really, we need to act fast and we need to act globally. The private sector participation. I think now the corporate social responsibility, I think at this age has been much more attentive to environment more than any time in history. And I think there is a general awareness among the business community that really social and environmental aspect has to be integrated into the business for its long sustainability. And I think this change in attitude will be an enabling factor that we can build in, really amplify action and get the business community to integrate land conservation and stewardship into their business and also be part of the land restoration efforts.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
We are very grateful for your contribution to today's discussion and to the global conversation on land restoration. Your vision and efforts are perfectly capture the spirit of the G20 Global Land Initiative, driving innovation and action toward a greener and more sustainable world. Thank you so much for being with us today, Dr. Faqeeha. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And for our listeners, stay tuned for more and more episodes from our podcast, Land Talks. Goodbye for now.